Well, hey, good morning.
Morning, Kath.
Good morning.
Morning,
And who is
Kathy.
who is this handsome gentleman that we have on the show today?
Ron Surz right here.
Oh,
You're
I
making me blush,
uh,
Kathy.
oh. Well,
I'm
hi,
too old to
Mike.
blush.
Uh,
Yeah.
Hi, Mike. Boy, it's good to have you on the show. Tell
Uh,
us tell us about our guest, Ron.
Yeah. So I thought it was time to get to have a little bit of fun. So most of the episodes have been about investing, and that's really serious stuff. But I met Mike on LinkedIn, and he sent me his book, Retirement Heaven or Hell, and it's a great book and really about something we've hit on in a couple of other episodes, but this one is really about being retirement. And so money can't buy you happiness, and I think Mike's going to share that with us. But being poor doesn't necessarily mean you're not happy. So we're going to talk about Mike's own experience in hell, and I'm going to turn it over to him. And Mike, you tell us some about your background and why you wrote the book and the show.
Thanks, Ron. The reason behind writing the book was that I was pushed out of my banking job, my 36-year banking job, which was a surprise to me. And
Wow.
I immediately suffered from retirement shock, and I failed at retirement. I made all the classic retirement mistakes that people make. And it took me a while to figure things out. And as I was figuring them, I was writing in a journal, putting down different ideas and approaches I was going to make. And it turned into this book. And really, it's a do-it-yourself transition guide for people that we want to help transition to a successful retirement and miss all the stress and aggravation and mistakes that I made.
And you're a counselor now, Mike. You counsel people on.
Well, what I do now is I continue to write retirement books, and I'm also a retirement coach. So I help people transition into their own unique retirement, and I also do public speaking about retirement.
Great, wonderful.
Okay,
And your wife is a financial advisor.
Yes, she's an investment advisor up here in Toronto, Canada, and we work together. And I help out her clients who are approaching retirement age, start preparing for a retirement transition.
That's
I have
great.
a lot of fun doing that.
That's important stuff, and I don't know if there's many people like you who do that kind of work, but it's great. I mean, we all want to be happy.
That's
and
right.
And certainly in this stage of our life, we deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
We do.
I'm curious to know what is the biggest obstacle for people to retire, in your opinion?
Mine is because we don't have a plan. We don't have a vision for what we want to do in retirement. So most people think the focus should be on saving as much money as possible. But even having a lot of money doesn't mean you're going to have a fun, successful retirement. It takes much more than that. And you have to be aware of the non-financial challenges you're going to be facing. A lot of people aren't aware of them. That's what we're trying to do, is create awareness. And that's what you're doing through your show too, right?
Yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah. And you know, that's the funny thing. I was watching the other day about how the financial part of retirement affects your health so much that you can, if you're not financially secure in your retirement, you get sicker faster and more diseases come about. So I'm interested in the show from the perspective of not only the financial side, but the emotional side, because I'm a very spiritual person. So I like the idea that you got to be happy. You gotta be in the heaven part of the retirement, not the hell part.
That's right.
But it takes a while to get there, believe me.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of that today, which will be fun. Right?
Okay, so let's go. Let's get started. So it's a second chance.
Okay, second chance. This is this is how I view retirement after doing all kinds of research and experience it firsthand myself and seeing what other successful retirees are doing. I really believe we're all given two lives. And our first life starts, the day we were born, and we start to grow up and we go to school. And then after school, we work for the next 30 plus years, trying to make as much money as we can to support our families and save some money for retirement. And our second life starts after that, after we retire, or that when that decision's made for you, like it was made for me by my employer. And that's when the confusion sets in, because a lot of people think that retirement works like it did for our parents and grandparents. But the truth is, retirement isn't what it used to be. And that trips up a lot of people. And that's what we're trying to teach people, is that due to increasing longevity, out of necessity, there's, retirement is changing right before our eyes. And there's new hybrid forms of retirement being developed all the time. And many of them have a work component. And I'm sure you've seen that all, you two, right?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, we're trying to get people to look at it differently. We want them not to look at retirement as a finish line, but rather as a starting line, a second life, a second chance at living. And that's when all the fun happens. We try to develop a optimum lifestyle, one that's based on a mix of work, play, and adventure.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. People don't think it through, and they don't think deeply about it, and start considering that. And the problem is, it's the advertisers. And I get really mad at the advertisers in the retirement commercials, because they've been showing us the same commercials for the last 50 years. The only difference being, instead of black and white, they're in color now. But, I'm sure we've all seen these commercials. If we go to the next slide.
Okay.
This one here, I love these commercials because you have images of the couple on the beach, and
they've made it. They're more money. One of my favorite, Mike, and you've seen this one. I don't know if it plays in Canada, but there's the lady is sitting on this guy's lap. They're on the beach. She's laying down, and she's got her head on the guy's lap. And she says, "Do you think we can afford that new car?" And he goes, "Well, let me think." Yeah, he goes, "Yeah, I think we can." And then the camera zooms back out, and standing behind those two people is the woman's husband, and she's been lying on their financial advisor's lap. This is a real commercial. It's about your trusted advisor, count on Prudential or whatever it was.
Oh.
But
we're going to get into that some more too.
Yeah.
But what's frustrating about these commercials is these people are just all models in the commercials.
Yeah.
They don't look like the retirees I know and the friends I know. They don't look close to that, and they don't live like that. And we all know we're not going to be able to live like that in retirement. And that causes us a lot of stress.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
But then again, we don't know how we want to live either, right? So that causes
all we know is that we want to be happy, and we don't want to be bugged by bill collectors.
That's right. That's
really?
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just let us do our thing. But a lot of us don't know what the thing is, right?
Yeah, right. So let's go to this one now.
Yeah. I put this picture to make me
I love steak.
Oh,
Ron, don't even go there.
All right.
You see, unlike cows, not all retirees are the same. We all have different wants and needs, and we all have different values. But the advertisers keep trying to convince us that we all want the same things, and that's wrong. Everyone wants different things in retirement, and that's an important thing to understand. And I came up with 3 distinct types of retirees as I thought about it. One group is comfort oriented. Those are the people that their biggest goal in life was to reach the retirement finish line. And once they've reached that now, they just want to relax and take it easy. They don't want to have any pressure. They don't want to, go through any changes or things like that. They just want to live the simple life.
Yeah.
And they want retirement to be safe and predictable for them.
Yep.
And my mother is a perfect example of comfort-oriented retiree. All she did was she wanted to take care of her family, spend quality time with her friends, and watch a few soap operas in the afternoon. You would never catch my mother going out and running a marathon like some people or traveling the world to see all these countries.
Yeah.
That just wasn't her. But she still enjoyed retirement, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
But a person like me, I would lose my mind living like that. because I need to keep stretching and learning and challenging myself. And, I need a sense of accomplishment in my life, and living like that wouldn't give it to me. And I'm sure you're familiar with the work of Professor Abraham Maslow. He's the creator of the hierarchy of needs. Mm-hmm. And he described growth-oriented people as self-actualizers, people that have this need to keep growing. And that's a never-ending process for people like that. So, it's important to understand, how you're wired. And people are wired differently.
Now, Mike, you told me something too about Maslow and at his end of life.
Yeah, I was going to mention
change the model a little bit. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, a lot of people aren't aware of that near the end of his life, he was in the process of changing the model. He was going to add another level of higher psychological development. He was going to call it transcendence. Uh-huh. And people that are transcenders are the people that have feel a need for giving back and helping people and giving back to the community. And we saw a lot of examples of this during the pandemic. You would see boomers put up their hand and offer to, volunteer at the food banks or at the vaccine centers or at the testing centers, or they even help their elderly neighbors. And they say, look, I know you're scared to go shopping. I'll go do the shopping for you and bring the food back. And that's what makes them feel really good. And then some people are a mix of both, like they're growth-oriented and transcenders, which is kind of neat. But it's it gets interesting. We can step back and start looking and say, okay, who am I? Okay, what do I need to do to be happy, as you would ask, Kathy, right?
As you were speaking, I was thinking about our group of friends. I can pretty much see the difference between some anyway, that really fits. It's a good observation.
Right, but it's true, because if you have a group of friends, you could be growth. And if you're hanging around with a bunch of comfort-oriented ones, well, it's going to be a little boring, right? Because they're going to want to live life differently. Yeah. So that became very interesting for me to see that. So,
yeah, well, I would think that if you're with the comfort ones, because I'm one of the growth ones, you got to be boring to be around them. It's like, don't you want to do anything? Isn't there anything that excites you? Don't you have a hobby? Don't you have an interest? You just want to sit around and watch TV, and that's okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're going to get into that.
Did you retire just to do that?
Yeah, just to sit back and watch TV all day long. No.
Yeah. Well, I'll share. We have a friend, a couple. They're a married couple, and she can't sit still. She's got to be, and I hope she watches the show, because I think she'll like us talking about her.
PJ?
Yeah, now you've told everybody.
Oh, well, you know who that is. Yeah. Nobody knows who PJ is.
No secrets here.
Whatever. But her husband, I think, is really comfort oriented. So, but he's such a sport. He goes along with all of it. But there's the example of a couple that really are in different spaces. But
that's right. But you have to understand and appreciate that maybe your partner is different. Yeah. So you have to be flexible enough to allow them to accommodate their needs, and hopefully they're willing to support your needs as well. So it's important to understand that distinction. Yeah. Can we go to the next one, Kathy?
I already had it there for you.
Okay. This is an illustration that I use from the book, and I use it at all my retirement seminars. And at the beginning, at point A, no matter what type of retiree you are, everyone's happy, because they don't have to, set an alarm in the morning and get up early. They don't have to endure that brutal commute to work anymore. And they're not spent at the end of the day exhausted from working so hard at a job that they might not like. And now they're free as a bird to do whatever they want, right? They can spend more time with the grandkids. A lot of people talk about that, or they can spend more time golfing or fishing like I like to do, or going out and writing a book or traveling or whatever. But what's interesting, at some point, at point B, the comfort-oriented ones won't change, because they love what they're doing, just having fun and relaxing. But the growth and the transcenders will feel a little bit empty. Something will start nagging at them to say, hey, I need more in my life. I need more things that are meaningful and fulfilling. And that's when they get antsy, and that's when they start to, slide down into retirement now, because they need more.
Right.
Okay. And they haven't recognized what's bothering them. In retirement, Hal, speaking from someone that's been there, it's just a terrible place. Because it's almost like you're in a fog. You know how they talk about a pandemic brain fog? It's like that. And, you're sitting there, you're feeling miserable. You don't feel like doing anything. All those things that you used to enjoy, like maybe going out fishing like I do, or riding my bike, you don't feel like doing that anymore at all. You just want to sit there and moan and just, think about things. And it's really funny. Even the smallest tasks, like going out and picking up the mail at the post office, or even cutting the lawn, it seems so hard and so difficult. And it's a terrible time when you're suffering from retirement shock. I remember when the bank pushed me out. When they gave me that severance check, I was the happiest guy in the world. You have no idea. I felt like I had hit the lottery. And because, I was planning on leaving anyways, because the job was getting to me. I didn't like working there anymore. I wasn't learning anything new. I wasn't growing. And to be honest, I didn't like some of the people I was working with. So I was so happy to be able to leave with that check in my pocket until the next Monday morning hit. And Kathy, if you go to my Monday morning picture, we'll see what that looks like.
Oh, the next one? Okay.
That was me.
Yeah.
That was you? Okay.
That was me sitting on the couch Monday morning. My wife had gone to work because she was still working. I was all by myself. And I remember I have this TV, this fancy TV. It has like 500 stations. Do you think I could find anything on it that was
well, then you go to Netflix, or there's always something. Yeah,
it was so bad, and it was so frustrating. And I started to miss like the action. Like I used to get telephone calls at work all during the day, and I would, that ping from the emails when they're coming in that someone needs some help or something. That was all gone. I was all by myself. I used to leave.
Yeah.
And
nobody needed you.
Yeah, and I couldn't even hang out with my friends because they were all still working. And that was a mistake I made. All my friends were work friends.
Hey, can I ask you a question here, Mike? Sure. Did you get to the point where if you did decide you were going to do something, then you meant, then I got to shower, I got to get ready.
Exactly. Yeah. Kathy, were you in retirement hell too?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. All the reasons in the world why you don't want to do something come into play when you retire.
Okay. My favorite pants were sweatpants. I have all these suits in my closet. I'm wearing sweatpants and golf shirts
with holes in them.
Who cares? Because no one's going to see the holes.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
But that's what it was like, and it was so frustrating because no one understood what I was going through. Like my wife's pretty sharp; she didn't understand, and none of my friends understood. Because everyone automatically thinks, look, you don't have to go to work anymore. You should be the happiest guy in the world. Right. But the problem was I was unhappy because I didn't have to go to work anymore.
Yeah.
But no one would understand that.
And
the worst thing was at night. And when I went to sleep. And I would get this ringing in my ears from all the stress I was going through. My blood pressure was higher because of the stress. And I had a hard time falling asleep. And now I'm going to tell you something that's not in the book, and hopefully you can keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Well, we'll cut out this part.
Advisor.
You what?
I sleep with my investment advisor.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Let me change that.
No, I get it.
My wife is an investment advisor.
Oh.
And so at night, I would wake up at 2 a.m. and I'd be tossing and rolling, trying to fall back to sleep. And she would wake up and say, well, what's wrong? And that's when the fear starts to creep in at nighttime, because that's when everything's quiet and you start really overthinking things.
Yeah, sure.
Now I would say to her, I'm scared that maybe I didn't save up enough money for retirement. Now my wife's she pays all the bills, she handles all the investments. So she would just, say, don't worry, we're fine. But what did fine mean to me? I don't know what fine means. It's not like a dollar amount. Yeah.
Most retirees have that. Well, there's a few rich people, but everybody else is really concerned about that.
Yeah.
And then we've talked about that in one of the shows, and I'll just share for today's show again that whatever you saved when you retire has to be enough. And your mission, your goal is to figure out how to make it enough.
That's right.
And that's not easy.
No.
So worrying about it that's just natural.
But you see, it's human nature too to think when you don't know what enough is. So you could have $2 million, and you ask
think that's not enough. That's right.
What's enough? And they're going to say 4, right?
Yeah.
You ask someone with 1, they're going to say 2. They're always going to say it's a larger amount.
Sure, that's right.
Again.
Yep.
And
I'm really talking now about budgeting. And I think it's just in terms of wrapping your head around it.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
Yeah, you need a budget. You really do.
You do. Yeah. But so many people don't.
Right.
Okay, Kathy, the next picture. So we're going to get into the 9 retirement.
Yeah, these are great. I think I like these in your book, Mike. I think they're
Thank you. These are principles I came up with after doing a lot of research and, again, looking at what other successful retirees were doing. And based on my own experiences of what worked and what didn't work in retirement, I came up with these principles. And the principles, if you follow them, they're going to increase the odds of you living longer and healthier and happier than other retirees. So they're very important.
Yeah.
And they're all based on solid research. And as we go through them, we're also going to talk about some of the important retirement lessons the pandemic taught us. And there were many. And they really stood out because a lot of people going through the pandemic weren't happy with the experience. If you think about the isolation and the boredom and the stress and all those things, those are all things that can pop up in retirement. And the importance of the retirement principles is they'll help you avoid the big surprises in retirement. And, the surprise I'm talking about is, maybe having a health scare, maybe suffering from a heart attack, maybe one day your wife, looks at you and says, I want to get a divorce, things like that. So, those are things we're going to talk about. And those are things, the principles can reduce the odds of a bad surprise happening in your life, which is so important. Here's the number 1 principle. I came up with this one after much thought. Because during the pandemic, people throughout the world experienced what isolation feels like. They experienced what, not being able to get together with your friends and family felt like, and how that could lead to depression. And a lot of people were depressed because of that. And, that's why it's so important. And research has showed, and this is really, an eye-opener, is that the quality of your relationships with friends and family can reduce mortality risk up to 45%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a crazy number. And that's why it's so important. And that's why I put it as the first principle. The takeaway here is that if TV is your best friend right now, you better get out and find some real friends.
Right.
What did you just say, Mike? What?
If TV is your best friend, you better get out and find some real friends.
Well, there's a lot of good stories on there.
It's all true. So we go to the next one. Now, here's something that we just briefly talked about, which was surprising during the pandemic when the restraints were lifted in different parts of the world. Divorce rates spiked up.
Because people got to know who they really were living with.
They couldn't handle the increased togetherness.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and they felt like there were two different people there. And they felt like, well, I don't like you anymore.
So they asked this couple who had been married for 55 years why they stayed married for so long. And they said, well, we're waiting for the kids to die.
Well, normally they say to leave, not to die. Wow, this is a good show. I love being on this show.
We just talked about, for a second there, remember, we just talked about Bill Gates and Melinda Gates getting a divorce.
Yeah.
Why do you do that at 72? What possesses, and maybe it was the pandemic, who knows? But they have a big enough house, you would think that they could get lost
Stay away from each other. Sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Good point, Pat.
Yeah.
No, but when they give something like that a name like Great Divorce, it's bad, and the rates of divorce are going up, and it's because of this increased togetherness, and people aren't communicating properly, and they're not listening to one another.
Yeah.
And it's something that, divorce late in life is very hard to recover psychologically and, Ron, financially, right? It can ruin.
Oh, sure.
So it's something that you want to nip in the bud as soon as you can.
Yeah, it's hard on everybody.
Even as a woman, I can say that it was tough not to be able to go and get your nails done and your hair done and go to the health club and all of that. And I know Ron's wife had a difficulty not being able to go golfing because she had a certain way of doing things. And then you're confined at home, and it's like, so what do I do? Unless you have a hobby or you have something, what are people going to do? So working from home was difficult for a lot of people too.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, and we'll get into that too.
Okay, all right.
Very interesting. So the next one. Okay, the importance of good health. This was very important because people who have underlying illnesses, no matter what age, were at higher risk of catching the virus and ending up in a hospital. And the important thing and the exciting thing is that many of these underlying illnesses are reversible through positive lifestyle change, such as eating healthier and exercising on a regular basis. And it was funny, there was a study that just came out of the UK that said that people that worked on a regular basis suffered a 31% reduction in risk of catching the virus. So it works. We know it works. But try to get people to work out and eat properly is a hard thing sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's got to become a habit.
Yeah. Are you going to go into like attitude and where people's heads are at and positivity
we're getting there.
Versus living? Okay, I'm excited. I told you I would love this show because I'm really into that positive attitude.
Yeah,
if you can find that pony in that pile of poop, that makes my day. Yeah.
Okay, let's flip to the next one. Okay, so this is a normal progression of a person's health over time. And this is how most people, go through it. Every year they get a little bit heavier, a little bit slower, a little bit less energy until D-Day hits. And some people don't make it that far. They suffer from a surprise, and they'll develop a cancer, or they'll suffer a heart attack or some other debilitating, illness. And, it doesn't have to be that way. That's the good thing. And we go to the next slide, Kathy.
Yeah, just a comment on that, Mike. I think life expectancies for people being born just about now are in the 90s. Is that? Yeah.
Is that right?
And they say some will hit 100, like our kids will hit 100.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. But that's the thing, is longevity is the game changer.
Yes.
And everyone has to learn how to play the long game now because it's different, right?
Yeah.
So this book, Younger Next Year, I read, and I was so excited because it supported the research I read about, you don't have to be on that decline graph that we saw. Every year you get younger and healthier, and you can do that for a period of, say, up to 10 years. And then you can maintain that level of health for a long time until near the very end where the decline is going to happen. Right. But you can stretch out those healthy, happy years. So you can extend them out a lot further. And it's just through the adoption of positive lifestyle change. But it's doable. And,
Sure.
that's what I'm trying to mirror myself. So that got me excited because it gave me hope. And it meant I was in control. If I was willing to do the work and do the right things, that's my graph for health.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think once you get into it too, it's not work anymore. It's just that maybe the first 6-7 months, and once you're in that, it's you like keeping yourself healthy.
You enjoy
it feels
it.
good.
Yeah,
you enjoy doing it. Yeah,
yeah. Kathy, go to the next one.
But I still eat bacon.
Bacon's good for you. I read the research on that.
Bacon makes me happy.
Yeah, bacon makes everyone happy.
On a funny note here, my niece, Ron's daughter, whenever we can find anything that has bacon in it, we send it to Ron. Bacon candle, bacon candy, bacon T-shirt, whatever. And my sister-in-law kind of says, Ron, you can have two pieces of bacon, because she looks out for his health all the time. She wants to make certain that he doesn't eat things that are bad for him.
Well, that's because I'm trained now. She doesn't want to start over again training somebody else.
No, but it's okay to have a little, but you got to know when.
Oh yeah, no, she lets him have a little,
right?
Yeah.
So here's something. So after reading the book, I started to notice things a lot more, and I started to go out and do different activities to get healthier. So I joined the community swimming pool, and they have lane swimming 3 times a week. So I go there. But I'm not very good at it because I've never really swam before, so I'm a beginner. I'm a rookie. But good. I swim with Carol here in lane number 1, and I'll never forget this day. She said to me one day, she said, "Hey, Mike, I'm turning 80 today. I'm going to celebrate by swimming 2,000 meters nonstop." I kind of looked at her and said, "Are you crazy? Wow. You can't do that." So she started swimming. I followed her and tried to keep up with her, but it was hard. And she's like the Energizer bunny. She just keeps going and going and going. And, it was really hard. And I stayed with her. And when she finished, she did the full 2,000 meters. I gave her a hug and I said, I turned 80. I want to be just like you. Right?
There you go.
Because
can you translate 2,000 meters into yards or feet or something?
It's, I'm not sure, but let's just put it this way. It's a long
lot. Okay.
A mile would be 1,600 meters. So it's over a mile.
Right? All right. So she swam over a mile.
Oh, yeah. And, she swam strong. She wasn't, falling over after she finished it. But then I said, well, here's living proof that if you're willing to do the work and you're willing to eat properly, this is how it changes your life. 80-year-old.
That's great.
Her husband there, George, he's crazier. When he turns 80, he's going to do this event called Ironman in Mexico.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He can do it. Just being able to finish that is incredible.
Yeah. So Ironman is, I think you swim 3.2 miles. Then you ride 112 miles on a bike. Wow. And then you have to run a full marathon, right? 26.2 miles, I think it is.
That's
incredible.
Have
to do it all in the same day in under 17 hours to qualify for a finisher's medal.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and George has done this before, and he's going to do it when he turns 80.
No, I need to tell you that guys like that, I really hate.
Yeah, because they don't eat bacon.
Right? That's right. You can be too healthy. You really can.
Well, what you have to hate is not necessarily hate, but when they say, well, you can do it too. You just got to try.
Yeah, chance.
I don't even want to try.
This is not going to happen.
True. You see, we're all capable of doing it. If you're buying into it and you have a strong enough why. I want to do this because I want to live a long time. I want to do this because I want to be healthy for most of that time. And what excited me was I was starting to see people like that all over the place. And it was, it wasn't just like people doing physical things. It was doing these exciting things. And here's a good picture here. I really love this picture. This is an MRI of a calf muscle of a triathlete. So the top one is from a 40-year-old triathlete. You can look at the muscle there. It's so healthy and, everything's looking good. The picture in the middle is from a 74-year-old couch potato. And you can see how terrible it looks, the lack of muscle and definition and fatty deposits and everything. Mm-hmm. And then at the bottom is an athlete, a triathlete like George at his age. And the picture almost looks the same as the 40-year-old. So that's what I'm saying. It's reversible and you can maintain it for an awful long time.
That's great.
And that's the lesson there. So if you want it, it's possible, right? And that's the exciting part about it.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we can go to the next picture. Here, Ron, you'll like this one. The importance of financial independence.
We're back in my home field.
Yeah, the ability to do what you want, when you want, where you want, with who you want. I don't know about you. I'm a big follower of the FIRE community.
I know of it. I'm not a follower.
But, okay,
go ahead.
The only difference I have is I don't believe in the RE part, retire early.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm a big believer in gaining financial independence. I think it's something everyone should strive for.
Well, that's the problem here, and I suspect in Canada too. The financial education. I think it's going to be required reporting here soon. But retirement readiness.
Yeah.
So maybe you already have in Canada, but now the reports that people are going to get in their 401k plans are going to say at the rate you're saving, you will be able to spend $2 a year, and that should wake people up. No, I'm serious. That doesn't exist now. It does not exist. There's no financial adequacy reporting going on right now with the 401k plans.
I think that's just a wonderful idea, and
it's got to happen.
I hope they do the same thing up here in Canada. My biggest concern is when the kids start off working, is that they have a strong financial knowledge about how to live within your means, how to spend less than you make, and how to adopt a somewhat frugal lifestyle. So you don't have these surprises at the end, right?
That's right. Yeah.
But we're not teaching them anything about financial literacy or anything like that. We don't even teach them how to use a washing machine or a stove anymore. They took
listen, they know they have them trained so much. Mom will do it, or dad will do it, or grandma, grandpa, or grandma. They'll help. Yeah.
So that's a problem. It has to be solved quickly because these people are going to be in trouble.
We have a retirement crisis. Really do.
Yeah. It's big, it's large, and it's scary. Mm-hmm. This is one thing we want to avoid is lifestyle decline when we transition in retirement. A lot of people experience
that guy's got ears on his hips.
Yeah.
The empty pockets.
Oh, okay.
The empty pockets. And you see, they don't think about this. And this is where getting back to what you said, Ron, with those statements in the 401k saying, hey, this is what you're going to have. Be prepared for it. And if you're not going to be happy living like that, you better think about, finding some part-time work because you got to generate some extra cash flow. Yeah. And what we're doing is just opening our eyes and say, okay, this is the future that you're facing unless you make some adjustments.
Yes.
So, it's so important to create awareness like that. And it's just not happening anymore. Mm-hmm. This is the one I really love. Principle number 4, reigniting a sense of adventure.
It's a great picture.
Yeah. This is like you're going into your second life and you spent most of the last 30, 40 years playing it safe, right? And what we're doing is we're saying, okay, change that way of thinking. Go from survival mode back to adventure mode, like when you were a kid.
Take risks, yeah.
Take risks, dream big dreams, chase after them. And you're at a point where you have all this freedom to do whatever you want. Right. But just don't sit back and watch the world go by. Go out and be a participant in it and do those things that you want to do and try new things, be creative, experience new things, because you might bump into something that you really enjoy. And, that will take your retirement to a whole new level.
Right.
So we're trying to change their attitude, as you would say, Kathy, and the way they look at it. And we want people to think as like a beginner, as to say, everything's new to me and I want to try everything and find something that hits and will make me happy and things like that. So, go out and learn how to bake bread or cook from those cooking shows on TV, or go learn, how to play a guitar, or go traveling, all these things.
Well,
Because,
go ahead, Ron.
No, I was just thinking of better bacon.
Create better bacon. A little thicker, a little crispier.
Sure.
Nothing wrong with that.
I have to, my husband passed away a few years ago, and he was always very, very supportive of me, no matter what I wanted to do. He was, you go ahead, honey, I'm with you 100%. But then I had some friends that if they ever came up with an idea, and I'm talking about after they retired, the husband would always say, "Oh, you don't want to do that. You're not any good at it. You won't do it." So they always pushed him down. And I would imagine that happens as well too with retirement. Maybe the wife or the husband want to do something, and the spouse is bringing them down. How do you work with that?
Well, that's the thing, because you got two different perceptions, two different retirees, two different views on retirement, and they're clashing. And that's where you have to have the, conversation and empathize with each other to say, hey, I know those are your needs and you need to satisfy them or you're not going to be happy. So I'm going to support you. But then I want you to support my thing. If I want to just sit on the couch and watch TV, well, support me. Don't keep,
but to that negative one, that gets annoying to them sometimes too. And they'll show it. Yeah.
And it builds over time, and that's what ends up in divorce, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to understand that, hey, you could be different. So deal with it, accommodate it, adapt to it. It's so important.
There's that saying, retirement is not for sissies.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Well, you have to understand it, right? And you have to understand what's happening and why you're feeling the way you're feeling.
Right.
Well,
I'm one of those people that have an extremely high level creative mind, so I can think of 20 different new things to do in a day, and want to take action on all of them.
Yeah.
And it would drive the average person nutty to be around me, because I'm always starting something new. Well, let's try this. Let's throw that up against the wall. If it sticks, we'll go with it.
Mm-hmm. But that's your thing, right? That's your thing.
Well, I like it. That's my thing.
Yeah, and you're good at it. You're very good at it.
So let's use myself as an example. Since retiring, after getting pushed out of the bank, I became an author. I've never done that before.
Good.
I've become a blogger. I've never done that before.
Right.
I didn't know what an Ethernet cable was.
That's brand new. Yeah.
And I became a coach, a public speaker, and I was scared to talk in front of people before.
Yeah.
And now I've signed up to do my own Ironman with George in 20.
You're going to do Ironman? Really?
Yeah, I got to lose 53 pounds, but I figured it's a good health goal. Oh, yeah. Well, so we got to touch base in a year, and I'll tell you how it turned out.
Yeah.
Boy. Well, that's quite a commitment. Good for you.
Well, I think it's a good commitment because it's a good way of getting my health back.
Yeah.
Force me to work out and do all these things and be focused on it. And, I think it's a good step. But my point is that I could never do any of those things before. Mm-hmm. And I did. And it's because I had a positive attitude and I was willing to take some risks, like you would say, Kathy, and try these things out. And
what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work.
Yeah, and then you go,
or you don't like it.
Then, right? Yeah, go try something else. So that's the lesson there.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next one. Okay, so I talk about the power of tribes. I think this is so important because when we lose work, we lose the camaraderie we had, with workers and customers and things like that. We need to find a way of replacing that because it goes back to principle number 1, the importance of relationships, right? So this is a picture of my bike gang. Pre-pandemic, we would go for a ride every Sunday for a couple hours. And then after, we would sit down and have a coffee and talk about life. And the important thing to see there, it's hard to make it out, but they're men and women, right? And the age differences, like the oldest rider is 80 and the youngest is 20.
Wow.
And so everyone has these different viewpoints on life and experiences. And it's so nice to sit down and talk about things. And then with the young people being there, it's kind of neat because some of their youngness rubs off on you, and you start thinking young and acting young again. So it's so important to find different tribes. And there's so many different kinds. Like, I have my swim tribe. I got the bike tribe. I belong to Toastmasters, so that's another tribe. People join card tribes and photography tribes. But that's where you start getting together with other people. You share experiences, you learn things, they motivate you. And I urge people to find your tribe or tribes because it's one of the best things they can do.
That's great.
Okay, and now here's a good one. This is mine. Yeah.
Okay, it's been proven that people that belong to a faith-based community live up to 9 years longer than others.
I believe that.
And the strength of it is if you look at some of the principles, when you belong to a community like that, you're enforcing your need for relationships, right? Because you're with people that think the same way you do. And it's a great place to isolate yourself from the stress of the outside world. So you get a break for a period of time. And you start feeling, like gratitude and things like that. And that's where you can do some deep thinking. And they say prayer is equivalent to meditation or yoga, where you can get away from these things and have a break. And everyone needs a chance to recharge and feel positive and have hope for the future.
Right.
But what's important is that you don't have to belong to a church to practice spirituality. That picture was from me going up to.
Was that you?
That was, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I looked thinner or fatter there. I'm not sure.
Well, it's hard to tell with the hat and everything. You can't tell who that is, but okay.
But every year I go up to a place called the George River, way up northern Canada, fly fishing for Atlantic salmon. And I tell you, you're north of the tree line. Nothing works up there, phones, computers, TVs, nothing. All you're doing is you're there fishing. So you're with the fish and basically that's it. And that's the place where I really feel connected to the universe and closer to God, because that's why they call it God's country, I guess.
Right? Yeah.
And that's where I can do my deep thinking. There's no distractions. And, I can figure things out and I can, come up with plans for the future. Or maybe I think about, some of the adjustments I need to make to some of the principles. Maybe I have to focus on different ones. Maybe some are sliding. And it's where I really get to recharge. So it's like that respite you get when you go to a church-based community too. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And coming back from that, I feel so good for a period of time. But eventually I need to go back and recharge and do it again. And that's why spirituality is so important. And that's why, spiritual people live longer than others. So.
Well, I want to add to that I believe that being a spiritual person, you have to put that into action as well, too.
Definitely.
Because there's nothing better than the feeling of knowing that you're helping someone else that is in need.
But you see, that's the transcenders in you, right?
Oh, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your need, and you need to satisfy that need. Right?
I do every single day.
And it makes you feel like $1 million when you help.
It does. That gift of giving is it's a phenomenon. I call it my goosebump moments.
But it's true. It's true. Yeah. And there's such a thing it's called the helper's high. It's like a natural high from helping someone. And I believe it. I feel it when I do it myself. It makes you really feel good. And it's not about money. It's
absolutely
someone
not.
saying thank you. And I'll tell you a perfect case. I received a lovely note from a reader yesterday. And they told me how much my book helped them after reading it to, take the fear out of retirement and kind of give them a guideline. I felt like $1 million, right?
Yeah.
And it's so hard writing a book for me, and all that hard work seemed worthwhile.
It's a lot of work.
Reading that.
Just helping one makes it all worth it.
That's right. And if you can help two, even better. If you can help two, even better. Right?
Yeah.
So that's so important to understand. And I can see, Kathy, you got that, right? You understand that.
So the fishing thing, we had a guest speaker at our church probably 2 years ago. And you've probably seen this about the difference between a man's brain and a woman's brain.
Oh, this is a joke. Okay.
No, it's true. I mean, we see it personally. So a woman's brain is more like spaghetti, and my wife does it all the time. She'll probably watch the show, but she'll be talking about something, and all of a sudden she's changed topics.
Oh yeah, my wife does that. Makes the fast left.
I've lost it. I don't know where she is. But a man's brain is like waffles, and there's little compartments for everything. And one of those compartments is empty. And that's the one you use when you go fishing.
No, my wife says I use that box all the time.
An empty box.
I can just sit there. She'll be talking away, and I'm empty. I'm not.
Yeah, there you go.
It doesn't sink in.
Yeah. But that, I mean, part of that is sort of, most women don't like fishing, but most guys do, and we're wired differently. We really are.
Well, you know why? Because we like the solitude. We like to get away, and
sure.
Some people
back to nature and
don't like it. Will drive them crazy. They want to, be together with the relationships. That's so important to them. But I mean, a little bit of both. It's like the yin and yang, right?
Yeah.
Try to make me happy. But again, everyone's wired differently.
Yeah.
Now, here's a good one. This is what we saw during the pandemic, when people had too much time on their hands and they didn't know what to do with it. That's how retirement feels for a lot of people too, because they no longer have to work. It was like me, like sitting on the couch. Well, what am I going to do with my time? I had no clue, and I had so much time on my
and it's only 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it just drives you crazy. But at some point, as you think things through and whatnot, and you start getting involved again in life and start doing different things, you find that you don't have enough time again. Like, things are so busy because you're doing all these fun things. And that's when you start to really appreciate time again, saying, well, I only have so much and I don't want to waste it doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm invested in fun things, things that excite me and make me happy. And that's the game changer when you hit that point again. But
sure.
I tell you, that having too much time on their hands woke a lot of people up during the pandemic, saying, I don't want my retirement to look and feel like that, because it's brutal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we can go to the next one.
Yeah. Hey, we got, hi, Dale.
Hi, Dale.
Hi, Dale. This is a good show, Dale. You'll like this. He's retired too. He's a friend of mine in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So here's an important one, is purpose. And again, during the pandemic, if you couldn't work at home, you didn't have any purpose outside of just trying to survive. And that drove people a little crazy and depressed, because they had nothing to do, nothing, that to look forward to. No good reason to get out of bed in the morning. And, they woke up to the fact that, killing time and taking the dog out for another walk around the block wasn't doing it for them. And then they kind of woke up to it. Well, maybe work wasn't that bad. Maybe some form of work, it would be good for me, better than just sitting around here, feeling sorry for myself. So that got a lot of people thinking, and they're starting to buy into different approaches to retirement that all are based on purpose. Because no matter how much money you have or what kind of retiree you are, we all need a sense of purpose. And people that have a sense of purpose have a 15% lower mortality rate than others. So it is very, very important.
Mike, we had Georgian. I think you know him.
Oh, yeah.
And to summarize his position, there's only three things, not the nine, and they're finances, health, and purpose.
Yep.
And it all wraps around those three. And then purpose, I think, sort of transitioning into your view, that sort of leads into all these other 8 principles. So I just point that out for whatever it's worth. There's a lot of ways to view this.
Yeah, the thing with me is I had to go deeper. Maybe I'm more complicated. I don't know. But I really had to dig down and say, okay, I need these different.
I like your principles. I think they're great. I'm just pointing out that
for me, right?
Another view is it's as simple as 3. But I like the 9 a little better. I think it gives you a little more refinement and a little more definition. So,
And it gives you more things to think about too, right? Because it's not as easy as people make it out to be. That's all I'm going to say.
No,
Purpose is a big one.
Well, wait, can I just add something in here? I think this might also be a good lesson if we look at the good things that have come out of COVID. This has given the people that are nearing retirement a look at what it's like to be retired and be at home alone, not being able to go out and do stuff, having to be with your spouse.
That's right.
And I bet that that transition is, oh my gosh, when I do retire, I should have something to do. So your book really fits in for the people that may be nearing retirement in the next 5-10 years. Look at it now so you can start to prepare.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what we're trying to tell people, because like you said, the pandemic gave you a look at it, but you could also feel it too, because you could feel the discomfort of being bored and being under stress and, being lonely and all those things. And those are feelings that people won't forget.
Right.
And so now they can say, okay, I got to change my approach. If they had an approach, many people don't. And so we can start thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
Right. Let's go to the next picture. I love this next picture.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So that's my parents. Not my real parents.
Okay.
They remind me of my parents so much. My father, he was really funny. Like, he was frugal, right? And I remember when they retired, I would go visit them. And they'd be sitting there in the house dressed up like that because he turned the furnace down again to save some money. He didn't know he had enough money, but it's a frugal habit he had. That would make me laugh. But here's the story of two different retirees, okay? My mother, like I said, she was comfort-oriented. She could sit there and she'd be sitting there watching the soap operas in the afternoon and The Price is Right in the morning at 10 o'clock. And that was a big part of her day. When my father retired, he worked in the corporate world. He managed a group of about 50 people. He tried to do what she did, but he's growth oriented, right? He tried to do it and he lasted for about a week and then he cracked like an egg. And he ended up in retirement hell for about a year. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And, it was hard to talk to him. And all he would tell us is old stories about work, about what happened at work, or maybe problems he solved and whatnot. And one day,
over and over again.
Yeah, the same stories. And it was just like, wow.
Yeah, we heard that one, Dad.
One morning, my mother at breakfast was sitting there with him, and she said, "Stop complaining, stop whining." She tossed him a section from the classifieds. And there are a couple of part-time jobs circled. And she said, "Here, go find yourself a part-time job."
Yeah,
so
that's good.
He went out. I'll never forget it. In the same day, he got this part-time job. And when I found out what he got, I laughed. I couldn't stop laughing. It was the funniest thing I've ever heard. And the job he got was, here's a corporate guy, right? Corporate guy. He got a part-time job delivering pet food for one of those small retail pet food companies in the plaza. And his job would be to go out and deliver pet food to the people that couldn't make it into the store. Many times they were older, elderly, or maybe they had some sort of sickness where they couldn't make it to the store. And he would go out and deliver this food.
Okay.
But doing that made him a changed person.
Wow.
It made him feel so good because he was helping these people that couldn't make it into the store.
And he probably got free food.
Yeah, and they would offer him tips and he wouldn't take it because just doing that, helping them, right? Being a transgender made him feel like $1 million.
That's good.
And on top of that, the young person that owned the store was struggling because it was a new business for him. And my father turned into his mentor and used his business skills to help him, run the business and to grow the business. And the young man was so happy my father would do it. And it just made my father feel better. You see, it wasn't about making money for my father. It was about finding purpose. And that simple purpose, it made him feel so good.
That's
and
great.
on top of it, he didn't have to watch soap operas anymore.
Yeah. Well, it takes a lot of discipline to keep yourself occupied. It really does. Yeah. Having worked from home for a great portion of my life, it's difficult to wake up and know that you're going to get this done, that, because it's real easy to sit back and, like you said, just sit there, don't do anything, and do I really want to? Don't. But if you are disciplined and you have a purpose and you know what you want to do, you get it done. And it's about getting it done, and then you feel better after you get it done.
That's right.
But I was going to say, I'm a digital artist, and I love knowing that I start with a blank sheet of paper. And then when I get done with something, I feel fantastic when it's done, because I think, wow, I did that. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Same thing with writing a book. You look and you go, wow, I wrote a book?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. Where did that come? How did that come out of me? Yeah.
But the thing
Ron just wrote a book too.
Yeah.
Mike knows. Yeah.
The thing is, purpose comes in all different sizes and shapes. So it doesn't have to be big. You don't have to write a book. You could write a blog post and make you feel really good, right? Mm-hmm. And that's important to understand. Different types of retirees will have different purposes that work for them. And that's fine. You know, they don't all have to do what you do, and you don't have to do what they do. And the thing is that there's my parents there, one's comfort, one's growth, and they got along together because they respected each other.
That's great.
Yep. Right. And my mother said, that's fine, go work. I don't care. Just stop moaning, get out
of my hair.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, the win-win.
Exactly. Right. Okay, so we got your last slide here now. This is your principle 9.
Yeah, here's the one that you were talking about, the importance of attitude. And the good news is, if you're a positive person, positive people live up to 7.5 years longer than negative people. So that's a good takeaway today. In retirement, success is all about attitude. If you view retirement as something that's really going to suck, it's going to be terrible, well, guess what? It will be. Mm-hmm. But if you view it as a wonderful time, as a new beginning, a second chance at life, a chance to do all those things that maybe you couldn't do when you were working full time, it can be a wonderful time. It's all about how you view it and what you believe in. And if you believe that you're in control, and if you believe in the 9 principles and incorporate them in your lifestyle, you're going to have a great retirement.
That's great.
That's the important.
Okay, what a great show! I've had a wonderful time.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Thank you.
Good job, Mike, and great book. So I hope people will find it and read it, and I think it'll help everybody.
Okay.
So, Kath, before we sign off, I want to talk about our next show.
Okay, Mike, I'm gonna remove you, but don't leave. We'll talk to you.
No, you just stay there.
Oh, he's gonna stay. Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah, I meant to talk to our audience about our next show. So it should be on the next slide, Kath.
Oh, all right. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we got a bunch of them here yet. Oh, I thought we were done with the show.
I know. Well, we're up against our normal time limit, but I just wanted to quickly say, okay, Mike, if you want to cover that, we need to. I want to get to the part about our next show. So.
Oh no, go to that. I think we pretty well got the core message.
Okay, let me see here now.
Well, let's put a minute, Kath, on that one before that. So people who want to reach Mike, you can see his email address there. Kath, you normally post that on the.
Yes.
Yeah, so people can get a hold of you here, and then the next show is going to be probably our best show ever. I'm just kidding.
I thought today was Ron.
No, today is the best. The next one's going to be the second best. So our next show on May 18th, I'm going to talk about the book I just wrote. And it has the distinction of every chapter has links to one or more of our shows. So this is an unusual book in that you can read, you can watch, you can do both.
All interactive.
All interactive. So look forward to that. May 18th, we're going to be talking about the book. It'll actually be a review of all of the previous Baby Boomer shows. And so that's it. Just wanted to let people know that the book is there and we're going to be talking about it. And thank you. Thanks, Mike, for all your comments. And
oh, my pleasure, Ron. And I can't wait. I'm going to watch that show for sure.
Oh, great. Please do.
And don't forget to visit our website so that you can watch all the previous shows all in one place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Hey, you guys, again, I've had a wonderful, wonderful time. I've got a lot of laughs, and I didn't have to wear my Depends today either because some guys usually do.
There you go.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Mike?
No, that was fun. It's, it was a good time. It was. I think we have a great message. I think
you do.
It will resonate with people, and they're going to learn from it. And it's good that you're talking both about the financial and non-financial side, and they're both equally important. And
sure,
we're creating a lot of awareness and educating people. So you're doing great work. So keep it going. Yeah.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.